so hard as I know I did my side.
The roots of the issues that affect our marriages and families. Late Night Intercourse, only on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja. It's all about you.
Good evening and welcome back to your enlightening family law talk show, Late Night Intercourse, with Chioma Onyenucheya Uko, the Zest family lawyer. I am very sorry for that little break we had. We had some hitches in the studio, but that has been resolved. As I had notified you earlier, tonight we are bringing you a conversation on the topic, is surrogacy legal in Nigeria? And of course, we'll have someone who will be discussing that with us, and I'll be introducing her shortly. But we all know that many people, there are a good number of people who are trying to conceive, who are battling with, trying to have their own children. And this is not a phenomenon that is, it's not something that is new. It's something that has always been. And as they grapple with these challenges, they explore, they try to look for whatever options that they can explore, including surrogacy, adoption, IVF, and the rest of them. But increasingly, there is a growing number of people who are beginning to explore surrogacy as a preferred choice of, having children. Well, when I say preferred, I don't mean preferred as I mean in the sense that they don't want to have children by themselves, but as a preferred option in the event that they're unable to conceive and have children by themselves. And while this procedure is acceptable or is legal in some countries like the US, South Africa and the rest of them, I think Taiwan too, yes, it is not legal or acceptable in some other countries. In fact, in countries like Italy, Germany, and the rest, in Taiwan it's illegal, forgive me, yes. In countries like Taiwan, Sweden, and the rest of them, it is illegal to consider or to, take part in a surrogacy arrangement. We now bring the question, what obtains in Nigeria? Is there a legal framework for surrogacy in Nigeria? Does the Nigerian law contemplate it, or does the Nigerian law permit it? And we will also be delving into all the other issues that pertain to surrogacy beyond just the legality or otherwise. We will look at issues around the status of the child, the rights of the parties, and all of those. And to have this conversation with us, to throw insight on this conversation with us, is an international fertility law expert, known by the moniker the Niger fertility lawyer. Is my friend, my sister, my colleague, Undiga Emwekbere. Ndiga, you're welcome to the studio. Can you hear me?
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. I was a little, I was afraid, I wasn't sure that you were well connected. So I'm happy to hear you loud and clear. Sorry for the delay in connecting you. So yes, you're a fertility law expert, and we've privately, and it's something I've also heard you talk about many times on different, and I think it's something a lot of people will appreciate. Can we at least start by even helping people understand the full concept of surrogacy, what it means and what it implies?
Surrogacy is a legal arrangement whereby a woman agrees to carry a pregnancy that is brought about by artificial means in a fertility clinic on behalf of somebody else or another or two other people, a couple, and the assumption is that the child has been born by the surrogate or by the marriage, or the intending parents who commissioned the pregnancy, and that they would conclude all the necessary administrative and legal arrangements to make those other people the child that was born by the surrogate. What usually brings about this kind of
bear a child that okay, now that being the case, does that is born through a surrogacy arrangement, that child automatically, legally belongs to the commissioning parents, being the intending parents? Is it an automatic consequence that because they commissioned the birth of that child, that once the child is born, it belongs to them?
No.
So what exactly is the procedure? What is the implication? What are the requirements for that child to become the child of those, to legally become the child of the intending parents?
The default position regarding motherhood is that any woman who carries a pregnancy and gives birth to a child is the legal mother of the child.
Yeah.
So if surrogate gives birth, the surrogate is automatically the legal mother of the child. Now, as a result of the surrogacy agreement between the surrogate, who is also the legal mother, and the intending parents, they will approach a court, usually a family court, who now examines the circumstances of the birth of the child, satisfies itself about what has happened, and then the court will now grant an order which will terminate the status of the surrogate as the legal mother of the child and transfer the parental rights to the intending parents. And it's a very common misconception. People say, because I'm the one who paid for the treatment, immediately the child is born, I take the child from the surrogate into the living room and the child becomes mine. It is impossible based on the clear intentions of the parties as documented in the contract agreement, as evidenced by medical reports from the fertility clinic, which evidence the journey that what was used to usually will ask that the fertility clinic might send in either documentary evidence or ask somebody to testify in court. And then the court will satisfy itself that on the basis of the evidence before it, it will be willing to enforce the intention of the parties as evidence in the contract, which is to terminate the status of the surrogate as the legal mother of the child and transfer all parental rights over that child to the intending parents or the intending parents, as the case may be.
Okay, you're aware of the surrogacy bill that has been proposed and is undergoing hearings at the National Assembly, right?
Yes, I am.
And the practice, as I know it now, there isn't any registry where parties, the details of parties are documented in any surrogacy arrangement in Nigeria, because there is no law mandating that or any law that regulates that yet. But
that particular ART bill is fundamentally and comprehensively flawed. I think in the first place that issues regarding the regulation of assisted reproductive technology should be framed in a more wide-ranging and better research channel a lot of interest on surrogacy. We need a comprehensive framework about assisted reproductive technology.
Beyond just surrogacy, right?
Is just one element. I don't understand what the excitement about surrogacy is. It's just as if we're talking about the fact that a building has collapsed and we're worried about the ceiling. We haven't talked about the fundamentals has collapsed and we're worried about the ceiling. We haven't talked about the fundamentals. The fundamentals are about who should be licensed jobs. The fundamentals are about who should be licensed to environmental issues. And I see very little of these issues in that bill.
In fact, I think the only attempt,
they have moved the hard work further down the road. So there are fundamental issues. You need to create the overarching framework. And then the little details can be fleshed in by an administrative body, like a commission, for instance. But I see that bill is floating in the middle of nowhere. It does not, there are proper references, for instance, to a minister. Is that the Minister of Justice or the Minister of Health?
Yes, without specific, yes, it was not specific as to which minister.
So is this a commission that is under the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Justice? Is it Women Affairs? You see, and there are other established entities in existence in Nigeria which should have competence over certain aspects of
I mean, of course, you've already expressed your opposition to the provision of I think it's under Section 5, the provision to empower the commission to resolve disputes. It's okay for them to investigate, but the provision of resolving disputes arising from surrogacy arrangements, of course, that will be usurping the powers of the court, as you have rightly pointed out, right?
Yes.
Now, beyond that, it talks about a private registry. I think it's in Section 8. It talks about a private registry that will, document and keep the details of parties to a surrogacy, including the surrogate herself, the intending parents, and it actually says any other relevant party, which I imagine will include even donors where there have been donor materials used. do you think this is commendable, particularly considering the issue of degree of consanguinity, which our law prohibits when it comes to marriages? And I see that when these surrogacies happen, we are not sure that any donor is traceable, or the source of any reproductive material used is traceable to a donor. In the likely event tomorrow of persons who are genetically related finding themselves, coming together as against the legal provisions of our law on marriages, what do you think about that?
Well, this takes me back to the initial observation about that we have not sorted out the fundamentals. The first thing the bill needs to do is to establish that surrogacy is legal. My view is that we have courts.
That we do.
My view is that we have courts.
That we do. Your view is right. Yeah.
My view is that we have courts.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And we have courts that are used to handling sensitive proceedings that are sealed. And those are family courts and adoption proceedings. So again, I question the wisdom of having a quasi-administrative or quasi-judicial body having such sensitive information. I still believe that a family court can be equipped to handle these proceedings, to handle whether or not we want to have what we call an approval regime. Now, in some countries, you have an approval regime for surrogacy. You can have a pre-birth order, in which case, after all the documentation is done and all the medical screening, you approach a court or an administrative body, and the surrogacy is approved in advance of the treatment. And an order of court is given, which elevates the surrogacy agreement to the level of a court order. So basically what it now happens is that agreement between the parties has been backed by a court order. So the surrogate is mandated. You must obey, you must honor your obligations under the agreement, and at the end of the contract, the child must be handed over these people to the commissioning parents, otherwise will be in contempt of court.
Sorry, I need you to backtrack. I need you to backtrack to the point of where this this approval order is sought and obtained. Is this approval order, this proposal you're making, is it to be sought even before the point of obtaining, getting a donor who donates whatever reproductive material? I'm not restricting this conversation to the surrogates now. At what point is this approval? When should it happen?
It depends. In different countries, we have different systems. In places like South Africa, for instance, when the treatment plan has been agreed, that treatment plan, including gamete donation and surrogacy, need to be approved by a court. But you have to know that in most countries of the world, gamete donation is not regulated strictly the way you're thinking. In most countries of the world, including South Africa, yes, if there's gamete donation included, they will review it. But it is really the surrogacy, the conditions under which the surrogacy is being done, that are being reviewed and approved. Now, this issue of consanguinity, or people who are closely related genetically, related by birth, getting together and having sexual relations unwittingly or unknowingly, it's not just a problem in Nigeria, it's a global problem. It's a global problem which I don't think there are any countries that have an answer to it. Now, there are organizations, private organizations abroad, that they keep registers of DNA. They maintain registers of DNA to look out for this problem. They maintain registers of DNA to look out for this problem. Now, my view is that at this stage of our development of ART in Nigeria, I fear that in a bid to control for consanguinity, we may drive out lawful garment donation, because a lot of people are not willing to donate their garments unless they can do so anonymously. So that is the fear. Is it a fear for consanguinity? Is it a policy concern? Absolutely. But the question is, how many people will be
other provisions of that bill? From where, please?
I'm calling from Abuja.
Oh, awesome.
I have a question.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
And just like we're talking about, and just like we're saying, you are not supposed to know the surrogate, and the surrogate is not supposed to know you. So if you have to do this after the child has been delivered and handed over to you, how is this process going to be done? Is the surrogate going to be willing to come out and sign papers? Because we have to sign a paper or something. Is the surrogate going to be made to come out and sign the papers? Once they are paid, most of them just want to disappear and off to the next client. So how do we ensure that they are also carried along so they can do the needful?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
So because Ndiga is right on here with us, she's going to have to respond to that. So just continue to listen and you'll hear her thoughts on it. Okay?
Thank you.
And I was saying before our caller called in with a very germane question that if you're not already following us on social media, you should please quickly follow us on Facebook at People's 105.5 FM Abuja, on Instagram at People's FM _Abuja, and on TikTok at People's 105.5 FM. And you can also follow me on Facebook as Chioma Onyenucheya Uko, or on TikTok and Instagram at The Zest Family Lawyer. Undiga,
yes.
You heard the question that our caller just asked, and she's asking, considering the anonymity that...
Yeah, I have the question.
Aha, so what are your thoughts, please?
Well, you see, in law, in most legal systems, remember that we are proceeding by analogy.
Yes.
Because we have laws in Nigeria.
Yes.
Now, the advantage I have is that I'm a qualified solicitor in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
So let me advise based on what I know about the United Kingdom and other countries that I've handled surrogacies with.
Yes.
In most countries, it's not possible for you to get a court order over a child that is still in utero, an unborn child.
Yes.
The child will need to be born and separated from his mother, and then a court order can be made over such a child.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the timing of the birth order, in most legal systems, the order that finds parental rights to the intending parents is usually timed after the birth of the child. That's in terms of timing. Now, in regimes where you have a pre-birth order, that pre-birth order is like an administrative approval, which gives the state the opportunity to standards before the surrogacy treatment actually goes ahead and happens.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the management of anonymity, we proceed by analogy to what happens in other countries. In a surrogacy agreement, you can have an agreement that is what we call double blind, in which case neither of the parties, neither the intending parents nor the surrogate are aware of either of their identities. The only people that are aware of all the identities of the parties involved are the lawyers and the doctors. Now, it is possible for you to sign a double blind surrogacy agreement where the surrogate signs and she's not aware of the identity of the other parties, and so do the intending parents sign, and they are not aware of the identity of the surrogate. Now, when we get to court to get the parental order, which is the order which transfers parental rights from the surrogate in 2024, those adoption records are sealed. They're not available for public inquiry and interrogation. And in order to get access to adoption orders, you need to get a court order, and
intending parents do not know the identity of the surrogate. they can also make that application, and that application will be brought against an unknown person. And so long as the court is satisfied that there is an agreement which it believes is genuine, that is voluntary between parties, and then the court is able to establish that that procedure actually happened by going through the records of the clinic, the court is likely to grant that parental order application without evidence from any, the surrogate. So
that is discretionary.
Yes,
it depends on the particular
question.
And you see, again, it goes back to the question of having a clear framework
exactly.
with guidelines about how these things should be handled. So it's not left to discretion. So you can go to one court and the person says, I want to see the IVF doctor. I want to see the surrogate in person. I want to see the intending parents in person. Another court might be satisfied with documentary evidence alone. So that's why we need a comprehensive and a robust framework to provide clarity on these issues going forward. And I don't see that clarity provided in the bill as it currently stands. That's my ask.
And in talking about some other considerations that the bill did not, it attempted to address, it made a prescription for an eligibility age for being a surrogate, and I think it pegged that at 21 years. I'm aware that in some other countries, the eligibility age has a lower limit and an upper limit. Beyond just a lower limit age that one becomes eligible, there's also a higher limit cap where one can no longer be permitted by law to be a surrogate. I think it's in India where it is between the ages of 23 and 50 for married women and 26 and 55 for married men. But our law only, this bill as proposed only has an entry eligibility point but no cap. What do you think about that?
Well, again, this is further evidence of the fact that this was a bill that was already drafted. As a matter of fact, we actually have a piece of regulation that is already in effect in Lagos, which sets the age, I can't remember exactly, it sets the minimum age and the maximum age for eligibility of surrogates. And if I may add, the age of a surrogate is actually only just one of a number of parameters, a number of criteria that should be used. There are a lot of other things that should be used. For me, one of the most fundamental criteria, apart from age, is the fact that there should be a counseling requirement. And also, the AFR...
There should be a what?
A counseling requirement, a mandatory counseling requirement.
The bill proposed that. Proposed that commission.
And that is. Can you in Abuja provide counseling for all the surrogates that will receive surrogacy treatment in Nigeria? That's impossible. It's impracticable. It's impracticable. The counseling provision is done at the level of the fertility clinics or the surrogacy management agencies. It is impossible for it to be provided by a government body, a central government body. It's just not workable. It's just not workable. Apart from that, there are other criteria. Apart from the age, there's screening requirements. There's also a particular requirement that the surrogate needs to be able to provide informed consent. And in order for her to provide informed consent, many countries insist that a surrogate must have had at least one live birth. So, for instance, how do you sign up for something you have no clue about? You've never had a baby. You've never had a baby. There was a surrogate that I was advising recently. She called me at 1:30 a.m., 11:30 p.m. at night to tell me, oh, I have a headache, my back hurts, my waist hurts. Because I'm a mom myself, I guessed that girl was in labor. But she didn't even know that she was in labor because she's never had a baby before. And so that girl shouldn't have even been eligible to be a surrogate, but she was a surrogate. And so her first birth was as a surrogate.
And that takes me to another issue, something that is also creeping into our society. You know, many young girls, or maybe let me not say many young girls, but some young girls, particularly in our tertiary institutions, are beginning to, go donate their eggs to fertility clinics for, commercial reasons, for pecuniary interests. And there is this proposal in this bill that prohibits commercializing any aspect of the surrogacy process, receiving any payment or benefits, to either serve as a surrogate or whatever. And I imagine this should also extend to even serving as a donor. What do you think? Do you think that, insisting on altruistic surrogacy, both from the point of even donating the eggs to the point of serving as a surrogate, do you think it makes, what do you think about that?
It's not unusual, quite frankly. It's not unusual. It's a position that is taken in many countries, Australia, United Kingdom. They all take a position about the level of the financial recovery that surrogates should be allowed to make. Now, there are some very serious policy considerations at play right there. The question is, as a society, is this something that we want to be left to open to commercial practice? The helping of somebody who is having difficulties having a child, the provision of gestational services. Is this something we want to open to free market forces, buying and selling gestational services, going to the highest bidder? There's some serious policy considerations at play there. And so the legislation will clarify on which side of the fence we sit. Now, there are a lot of examples of countries that attempt to control the recovery of financial compensation or gain by surrogates. The UK does it by saying that, yes, you're not allowed to do commercial surrogacy. However, the surrogate is providing what it calls reproductive labor. And she's entitled to a fair variation, because if I were Elon Musk, for instance, and I had all the money in the world, and I decided to give my surrogate a house in Mayfair in London worth £100 million.
Yes, because you can afford it.
For me.
Yeah,
I can afford it.
Yes.
And this surrogate has given me something I can't give myself. Has given me a child.
Yeah.
A child who is priceless. And so in these circumstances, the court will be like, all right, it's reasonable for Elon Musk to give you a house in Mayfair, London. You do make a valid point, because we don't want people, these are policies, there's some hard policy determinations that we need to decide upon. And we haven't even touched them. We've not scratched them. And we're rushing to make a bill. Come on. This is 2024. What are we rushing to? We have so many examples of countries that have done it successfully and unsuccessfully. So why are we determined to run ourselves into a ditch? This is my question.
I think it's also possible that I think it's good enough that the conversation is even happening. The fact that they are proposing a bill at all on the subject, for me, is progressive. But then maybe in the course of public hearings, by the time they get the feedbacks, such as the one you've shared with us this evening and more, I imagine that it will mean everybody going back to the drawing board and redrafting this bill, really, because what we have, I agree with you, is quite shallow. It's quite shallow, and it needs to be better than this. In fact, I would like to also hear your thought on one of the provisions of that bill that I saw, which was the provision on the qualification of the person who will serve as the Registrar General of the proposed commission that will be regulating surrogacy. And it said that the person will be a medical practitioner. And I'm wondering, do you think it's really necessary? Do you think it's important that the person who regulates that commission is a medical professional?
I think, again, this is another indication of the fact that the people who are drafting this bill don't really understand what a law is. What that ART bill is trying to set up is a regulatory framework. It's about laws, about guidelines, it's about rules. This is law. Yes, it relates to medicine, but it's law. I'm already
Family Law Talk Show, Late Night Intercourse. Coming live to you. Family Law Talk Show, Late Night Intercourse. Coming live to you on your favorite radio station, People's 105.5.
surrogacy. You're considering gamete donation. You're considering becoming a surrogate. I would recommend that you take time out to inform yourself adequately and, if possible, get independent legal advice. For intending parents, I would say that on the day you take custody of a surrogate born child, all you have gotten is custody. You are not yet the legal parent. You still need to complete the job by approaching a court to get a legal a court order which will make you the legal parent of the child and to make sure that the surrogate no longer has any rights or ties to that child. Now, in terms of contacting me, I am somewhat active on social media, and my social media handle is the Niger Fertility Lawyer. And I am on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook.
All that for all those who listen to us, it's been a very insightful evening. All that for all those who listen to us, it's been a very insightful evening. And as always, we bring you fresh conversation. And as always, we bring you fresh conversations on topics that affect family life and domestic relationships. Yes. So we'll be coming to you again same time next week with another interesting conversation. Don't miss
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Undiga. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do enjoy a restful night. And to the rest of our listeners, we're grateful you joined us. And for next time, ensure you call in to share your thought or to ask a question. Something. It's supposed to be an intercourse. It shouldn't just be a one-way conversation, you know. As you listen to us, we'd love to also hear from you. And please take a follow. Follow us on social media, and then also to share time with us. Thank you so much, and do enjoy it.